Well, hello everyone. The camera looks a little darker this time because my normal spot is taken. There's a bunch of stuff over in front of my records right now, kind of moving things around the basement. Um, it's a disaster down here. It's terrible, and it's claustrophobic, and it's awful. But at least my music is down here. But to get to my records, I have to move things right now. Anyway, some of it is wedding stuff. Laura and I are getting married next spring, and so we're going to have these centerpieces that are made up. We've got some old books, and on top of them are going to be antique coffee pots and tea kettles and such. And so some of that is over in front of in front of there for right now. So anywho, here I am. And this is sort of the long-awaited video for me. I don't know if you guys think it's long-awaited. My top favorite albums, a mixture of studio and live, from 1978. So this is albums turning 45 years old this year. I did the top 10 from 1983, and that seemed to garner some good feedback from you guys, and I always appreciate it, especially when it's fun, even if you're disagreeing. If it's respectful, I love it, because we're talking music, and everybody's taste is different. So I would start this by saying, if you're going to leave comments, please make them respectful. And I guess away we go. And I'm going to sort of go by genre here. Right out of the gate, this is a powerhouse of an album. It is Honky Tonk Masquerade by Joe Ely. It is his sophomore album. The great Texas singer-songwriter who was the poet laureate of Texas for a year. I sort of look at his catalog in the beginning and the end, the first and second halves. And from the first half, this is my favorite Joe Ely record. This is the 2023 remaster that just came out earlier this year. The sound is phenomenal. I do have an original pressing and a CD copy, but I thought I'm not gonna haul out all the copies. I'm just gonna show one at a time. And this is a fantastic mixture of country and honky tonk and rock and just Texas Americana. Cornbread Moon starts it off. Probably my favorite Joe Ely song of all time, Because of the Wind, is on here. Boxcars, Jericho, Your Walls Must Come Tumbling Down. Tonight I Think I'm Gonna Go Downtown. Honky Tonk Masquerade, I'll Be Your Fool, Fingernails, West Texas Waltz, and he ends with a cover of Honky Tonkin' by Hank Williams Sr. In the song West Texas Waltz. It is a waltz, musically. There's only two things better than milkshakes and malts, and one is dancing like the Dickens to the West Texas Waltz. So I will leave it to your imagination what the other may be. Anyway, so right out of and these are in no particular order, not ranked 1 through 10, just 10 favorites. Joe Ely, Honky Tonk Masquerade, fantastic album. Long since been out of print on vinyl until early this year. So New Year's, I've talked about that album several times in other videos. Willie and Family Live by Willie Nelson from 1978 at Harrah's in Lake Tahoe. This is not necessarily my favorite Willie live album, although it was for a lot of years. This is a barn burner of a record. It's 4 sides. I'm not even going to read off all the tracks on here, but the band was just on fire. Whiskey River, Stay All Night, Stay a Little Longer, medley of his older hits. A great live version of Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. There's a Redheaded Stranger medley on here. Bloody Mary Morning, some more of his older hits, some gospel stuff. Johnny Paycheck sings on Take This Job and Shove It. Just a barn burner of an album. And, again, similar to the Willie album where they were live in Austin, Texas in 1974, they had hit commercial success, he and the band, but yet they still played like their lives depended on it. And so for a bunch of people in their 40s, they were playing with the vigor of people half their age. So Willie and Family Live by Willie Nelson is another one. This one you has to be on any list of favorites. John Prine, Bruised Orange. And so this was his first album on Asylum Records after he left Atlantic. Fish and Whistle, There She Goes, If You Don't Want My Love, That's the Way the World Goes Round, and Bruised Orange, Chain of Sorrow is the first side. Holy crap. And then side 2 is Sabu Visits the Twin Cities Alone, Aw Heck, Crooked Piece of Time, Iron Ore Betty, and the Hobo Song. And, the production was a little more of the times here. It's a little less rootsy than the earlier stuff. But, oh man, the songwriting on here is fantastic. And Bruised Orange is easily in my top 5 Prine songs ever. And so, absolute must-have for any fan of a folk, Americana, country, etc. This one I wasn't sure whether to put. I need a little liquid here. I've got some Black Rifle Coffee Company Just Black blend, and it's fantastic. Okay, so moving on. I wasn't sure if I was going to put this one on here, but I am because I cannot not have Gordon Lightfoot represented. Boy, he looks mean in that picture. Gord, for such a humorous, fun guy, his album covers always look so serious. So Endless Wire by Gordon Lightfoot. This was not the top of my list if you've seen my Gordon Lightfoot record rankings or album rankings, but as with so many of those that didn't rank high, I've gone and listened to them so many times. This one has really, really grown on me a lot. Daylight Katie, Sweet Guinevere, love Hangdog Hotel Room, If There's a Reason, Endless Wire, Dreamland, songs the minstrel sang, Sometimes I Don't Mind, If Children Had Wings, and he closes with a re-recording of one of his earlier songs called The Circle Is Small, which I actually prefer the original. This one is a lot more ornate. It's got string arrangement went on it. I really like this record a lot. I like all of Gord's records, but this one's kind of a dark horse record, and there are people who like it a lot more than I do. This is a solid representation of where he was at the time. And so, again, Endless Wire, Gordon Lightfoot, part of my top 10. Now we move from the sort of country folk Americana vein back to where it all began. We're going to the blues. And I have The Earthshaker by Coco Taylor, the queen of the blues. Now, whether she really was or not, I don't know. But you have to, Pinetop Perkins is on here. Sammy Lawhorn, Ab Locke, just some great players. And a very young harmonica Hines, Mervyn Hines, who is actually an acquaintance of mine. He's originally from Trinidad. He moved to Canada. And it was James Cotton who told him to go to Chicago if you really want to play blues harp. And so Hines had never actually recorded before. And for your very first recording to be thrown on with this massive talent, the great Carrie Bell was supposed to be in this band, but Carrie was on tour and he was unavailable. And so somebody suggested Harmonica Hines. And man, what a first recording session. And Hines, I must tell you, if you ever get to Chicago, he plays at Buddy Guy's Legends a lot and a few other places. One of the funniest, kindest, most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet, and just frickin' phenomenally talented. And anyway, search his music out. You'll enjoy it. But anyway, so Let the Good Times Roll, Spoonful, Walking the Back Streets, Cut You Loose, Hey Bartender, a remake of Bo Diddley's I'm a Man, I'm a Woman, You Can Have My Husband, But Please Don't Mess With My Man, Please Don't Dog Me, and a re-record of her 60s hit Wang Dang Do. And, Coco had this wonderfully gruff voice, huge attitude. She could hold her own with Muddy and the Wolf and any of those guys. So The Earthshaker by Coco Taylor, one of my favorite albums from 1978 that turns 45 years old this year. One of my... it just keeps getting better and better here. Sun Seals, Live and Burnin', also on Alligator Records. Frank Sun Seals was born in Arkansas. He was a drummer for Albert King for a while. Bullfrog voice, stinging guitar. I remember the first time I heard this. I've had the CD for years and years. And the vinyl sounds fantastic. The first time I heard this is Roadhouse blues. West Side Roadhouse, Chicago hardcore blues. Um, I Can't Hold Out, blues, Blue Shadows Falling, Funky Bitch, The Woman I Love, Help Me Somebody, She's Fine, Call My Job Last Night, and Hot Sauce. And parts of this feature the great A.C. Reed on sax, and just a great band on here. And Sun Seals is one of the unheralded heroes of the blues. And so he was on Alligator Records because uh, Bruce Iglauer, who was still working for Bob Kester over at Delmark and the Jazz Record Mart, somebody called him up and held the phone up and said, "You got to come hear these guys." So Bruce signed him to his fledgling Alligator Records, and the rest was history. And this is one of the absolute best live albums of any genre that you'll ever hear. So Sun Seals Live and Burnin', part of my top 10 from 1978. And even though this was recorded a couple of years before, it was released in 1978, almost the opposite end of the Chicago blues spectrum, because Otis Rush was a southpaw. He played the guitar upside down, and he had, where Sun Seals was like a bullfrog croaking, Otis Rush had one of the most soulful vocals in any genre. But this is real deal blues here. This was taken from a Japanese tour. Jimmy Johnson, Sylvester Boynes, and Tyrone Century are the band on here, taken in front of a rabid audience in Japan. And, All Your Love I Miss Loving, of course, is on here. That's one of his signature tunes. So Many Roads, B.B. King's Gambler's Blues, Three Times a Fool. I Can't Quit You, Babe, or Baby, which was originally his, that Led Zeppelin claimed was theirs, but wasn't really, and the writer Willie Dixon ended up getting money later, years down the road. If you've never heard So Many Roads live in concert by Otis Rush, you haven't really heard the blues. So pick this one up. CD, I've got the CD, pick up the CD, vinyl, stream it, do something. So now we move to rock and roll. And, I take some flack for being a fan of this guy because, so I'm just going to come out and say it. Double Live Gonzo by Ted Nugent. Now you see there's a dollar sticker on here. This is an OG pressing from 1978. Ted is such a controversial figure now and has been for 15, 20 years or more. But in 1978, when this album came out, it's almost completely overdub free. The only overdubbed part is actually the bass line in Baby Please Don't Go. Everything else is raw as it was heard in concert. Closing Motor City Madhouse, off the charts. The live version of Stranglehold, definitive. There's no politics on here. There's no BS. This is just pure, unbridled, heavy rock and roll. I cannot say enough good about this album. And if you don't like Ted, if you can put your feelings about him aside, which I do, I used to be a huge fan. I'm not so much anymore. Just not so much for what he says, but how he says it. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, but I believe in treating people with respect and being kind. And but if you can put those aside, those first 3 studio records and then this live record, particularly this live record, this is a masterpiece. And so, Double Live Gonzo by Ted Nugent. I'm sure this was a worn-out copy when I got it, and I wore the grooves out. I have another copy, but this is my very first one. And it is just stellar from start to finish. And then, in the hard rock vein, one of my 2 favorite AC/DC albums. I don't know and I know I did a video that involved this or that, a year or 2 ago. I don't really know if it's Powerage or Powerage, so forgive me. But this, right before their commercial peak, this to me is everything great about AC/DC. Rock and Roll Damnation, Down Payment Blues, Give Me a Bullet, Riff Raff, Sin City, What's Next to the Moon, Gone Shootin'. My absolute favorite song on here, Up to My Neck in You, and then Kicked in the Teeth Again. Bond's lyrics were second to none. Songs are full throttle energy, but there's some bluesy stuff on here There's some Chuck Berry style stuff on here. AC/DC at its peak right here. And so Power Rage by AC/DC, absolute essential. That's my two favorites. That's my favorite Bon Scott AC/DC record. And then, last but not least, Excitable Boy by Warren Zevon. If I were to leave this off, it would be criminal. And this actually, so it just came out this year. It is the Mobile Fidelity remaster. This is my very first MoFi purchase. And so I wasn't sure what to expect. And a fellow vinyl record buff here in town said that this, he believes, is one of the best sounding MoFi remasters they've ever done. I've pontificated about this album in so many videos before, I'm not going to go into it a whole lot. Johnny Strikes Up the Band, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Excitable Boy, Werewolves of London, Accidentally Like a Martyr, Nighttime at the Switching Yard, Vera Cruz, Tenderness on the Block, and Lawyers, Guns, and Money. And so it's set out, it's 45 RPM, and it's set out over 2 albums. And, you know, this is, I'm going to open it up here just a little bit and show you, you know, the humor that Zevon always had was always very dark. And so, anyway, this has to be in any top 10 list from this year. The list of guests on here, you know, Leland Sklar on bass, and Danny Korchmar on percussion from the Wrecking Crew, Waddy Wachtel, of course, Linda Ronstadt, John McVie, Mick Fleetwood, some of the Eagles are on here. It's just kind of a who's who of the best music. Jackson Browne, of course, is on here and produced it. And so, yeah, J.D. Souther is on here. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is just a fantastic group of people. So, anyway, Warren Zevon, Excitable Boy, number 10 out of 10. Again, I'm not ranking them. It's just kind of how I set them down here. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Actually, I can't believe I kept it kind of short. So, here's to you guys. Please, in the comments below, let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel. Put your top 5, 10, 3, whatever, from 1978 albums that turned 45 years old this year. And I'm excited to interact with you. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. So take care, everybody, and thank you. Thank you so much for your support on my channel.